Lead the charge.
There's a lot going on right now in our lives, both personally and professionally. I think we have a lot of bases to cover, right? This podcast episode should be a pretty interesting one. Let's start with the city cleanup. We haven't had a chance to talk about that yet.
No, we haven't. We're coming up on the first one. What's the date now?
July 8th.
July 8th?
July 8th is the date. So originally it was supposed to be quite a bit later in the year. And by first one this year. How many years has it been now that we've been doing this?
Ooh, I think it's been 5, right? I think right when Francis was the first year Francis started.
Yeah, so those who watched the last episode, Francis was on, and that was it was such a good episode.
Was
amazing episode. It might be my favorite one so far. She's able to like pull out of us like a different perspective than most people can.
Yeah.
But she was also the person that started this, I think. Like it was her idea. And we just got behind it and helped bring some heat as far as I remember, right?
Yeah, you know what's funny? Actually, it's we'll have to actually share the picture if we can, like block it in or whatever. But it was, what was there, 5 of us? It was pouring rain, and it was in East Village.
Princess Island.
Yeah, Prince Island Park, which is hilarious. There's some funny content from that. That was just, But no, she brought that together, so it'll be exciting to actually see that come further. And then obviously we expanded it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't do it, I think now though, the big thing that I like that we've changed is that it's one big event.
Yeah.
So instead of it being like multiple kind of smaller, it's one bigger thing. So it'll be exciting. But what was the reason? Because you were getting into what's the reason that we changed the date?
Right. So the city cleanup in itself is an initiative focused on bringing environmental awareness to parts of the city that are generally considered to be clean.
Yep.
So we actually pick like tourist traps. And for a few different reasons. One, you'll get a good amount of foot traffic, and 2, it brings a really good awareness that, hey, these areas that are considered some of the cleanest, most beautiful parts of the city aren't actually pristine. Yeah. So as human beings, we need to have a higher level of awareness, and we have a good group of people that show up. We have our team members, we have our clients, and then the general community. And sometimes people just walking by on the street end up joining in because they get so jazzed on the fact that we're cleaning up. Now, the reason why we moved it up from, I believe it was supposed to be August to July 8th, was because the Surge players are coming. Yeah, and we're going to be doing something pretty special for this one. We have some pretty good sponsors. I don't know which ones are confirmed yet, but I know Porsche is going to be there, or Porsche, right?
How much have they sponsored us? What?
This is going to be the third
time. Yeah, they always bring out nice cars. So if you want to see nice electric cars, hopefully they bring one again.
I hope they bring the red GPS.
Yeah.
So they bring out nice cars. Village Ice Cream, I think, is going to be there again as well too. Potentially Apple Cleaning. I'm not sure who's confirmed yet because everything got flipped on its head, and literally yesterday it got fast tracked. So hopefully some of these sponsors will be there. We'll bump them and give them some acknowledgement down the road again as well too. But ultimately the big piece is that we wanted the Surge players there, right? Yeah. The Surge in itself, we've talked about this in previous podcasts, are very community focused, and this is part of that. Through the leadership from Jason and Usman, they wanted to make sure that they were integrating the players as much as possible into what we do from a community standpoint. So they've already supported us on Strides. Now they're supporting us on the city cleanup. So it should be a pretty fun one. And I think July 8th, usually the weather's pretty good. City's usually really busy at that time too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, weather should be hopefully past the rain season, right? So
yeah.
And then the city will be busy. It'll be stampede time, right? So the city will be busy.
And to be fair, we really haven't had a rain season this year.
Yeah, we had a bit of obviously ongoing, right? June has been a bit of rain.
Like 3 days. Maybe 3 days,
It's surprising. But no, hopefully it's not that, right? So we're able to actually, we're able to get a good turnout for that. So hopefully everyone can join.
Yeah.
The more the merrier. And then obviously, do you know, have we confirmed which players, or is it going to be just like a selection?
That I don't know yet. I'm assuming some of the key guys who are on the social side of things are going to be there, right? So we'll get Smith, Ruggs, maybe Simi. I don't know exactly who's going to be there, but I'd be happy with whoever it is, right? So
100%.
Yeah, they're going to be able to reach stuff really easy deep into the bushes as well too. Really got long arms, so I think they'll probably have like an easier go than we will, and we'll probably end up finding some interesting stuff as well too. Over the years, there's been some hilarious stuff. I think Keat one year found a suitcase in the middle of the river. There's always shopping carts. Sadly, there's some bad stuff as well too, right? Needles and things of that nature.
Which we shouldn't be picking up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be sad though. It's the first one I miss.
Yeah, where are you gonna be, by the way?
I'm gonna be in Europe.
Yeah.
Get to go visit some family, which will be nice, but it'll be weird. I haven't missed one. in 5 years in either of the cities. So it'll be
Yeah. But
it'll be interesting.
It is overdue, right? Like, when was the last time you had a vacation?
Well, I think like vacation, it depends, right? You look at the word vacation as the entrepreneurial side. It's like you're answering emails either way at the end of the day or whatever. But fully disconnected, probably never. I think I've already spoke with you and Ian about this and on the details of it. But like, I'll fully disconnect. Like I'll obviously get updates and whatever's going on. But yeah, it's gonna be fully disconnected. Go enjoy Europe. I haven't been back to visit my family in 5 years.
No, it hasn't been that long.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, it's been 5 or 6 years because there was COVID. So I was supposed to go right when COVID hit.
Right. Yeah.
So it's gonna be it'll be interesting. It'll be nice to go see.
Last time was like you went to the Black Sea, and then I had Benji, your dog. So that would have been 2018.
No, last time was when my grandpa died. I was out for the funeral. Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So it's been a while. So
yeah,
it'll be nice to go.
Yeah, it has been a long time.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay.
But it'll be nice to just disconnect. Obviously, the team, like, yeah, I'm not too worried about that this time, which is a pretty cool, I guess, experience to have, right? That, like,
yeah,
I think before the last couple times, actually thinking back, I was thinking about this a few weeks ago, I was like, when I was in Germany last time, it'd be like, because the time change is 8 hours, I think it is.
Yeah.
And so, like, I remember having meetings with you and stuff in the middle of the night. Like, it was just so funny because it's just so awkward. You're like trying to take phone calls and people are calling you at night and like,
yeah,
trying to pretend like you're not out of the country too. Like, we used to do that, which is hilarious.
Which is kind of silly because we thought vacations were not okay, right?
Yeah. I think it's cool that we can kind of accept that. So
yeah,
it'll suck to miss the city cleanup, and then, but it's the timing on is perfect, right? To make sure that the surge is involved.
No, and maybe we should take a moment and unpack this. Like, over the years, you and I, actually, let's not talk about the company as a whole. You and I have been really weird with vacations, right?
Yeah.
And the one thing that I found that you and I always did that was really good is if you were on vacation, I would manage all the fires and never tell you until you got back.
Yep.
And then the same would happen on your end, right? But this time we have the right leaders in place that the fires can actually just manage themselves.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is refreshing, right? I don't have a vacation plan this year yet.
Yeah.
I have weddings, bachelor parties, visiting friends, potentially a road trip, but no actual vacation plan years, which is bad because the year is half over.
Yeah.
It just snuck up on us. Like, it's almost July, right?
Yeah, it is. That's crazy. I think, yeah, it's definitely worth planning because, again, I think it's nice to be at a point where, like you said, you don't have to actually worry about the fires. Like, I think it'll be like, I'll check in and see what's going on, like, to make, I don't know, just more to know because I just want to know.
No.
But it'll be like
no.
Like, I know Ian. I'll be calling Ian like.
No, but I'm gonna talk to Ian, and that's not happening.
Yeah.
He's gonna be like, "What's going on?"
He'll send me the weekly report, right? The Tuesday morning report. But
I think
it'll
even that maybe we should start. I'll send you.
No, it'll be good. But overall, yeah. So that's kind of the gist of the city cleanup. Be able to do that. So hopefully everyone can come out to that, anyways. Like I said, sad to miss it, but
yeah.
I'll do my own sort of cleaning in Europe.
Maybe we'll just print the face off of you and like glue it to the side of the truck and do a doppelganger kind of thing, right? So yeah. No, it'll be good. You'll be missed, but at the same time, like, I think we should be conscious of not making sure that you're not too tied in. But no, having the surge players there will be interesting as well too, and even that in itself has been going pretty well because I don't think we've spoken about it.
No, since we had Jason on, we haven't. So when we had Jason on. They hadn't even started, right?
That's right.
That was right before the first game.
And now they've had 7 games.
Yeah.
And they're number 1 in the league.
Yeah.
And it's been freaking crazy.
Oh, it's been nuts. Like,
it's been crazy.
I think it's actually super cool because, first of all, for us, and I don't know how you feel about this, but like, the experience has been like nothing I've ever experienced at a sporting event in Calgary.
Yeah, no.
Like, I've never ever experienced that at any other sporting event.
Best, yeah.
And then every single person that's been there that knows us or friends, whatever, has pretty much given the feedback of like, the atmosphere is crazy. And at the end of the day, you think about it, it's only 2,000-3,000 people, which isn't that many people at a sporting event. Like, that's a lot for it, but like, the energy in that, you can hardly hear anything. You can't even hear the announcements and stuff at certain times because it's so loud, right? So
yeah,
the energy's been wild. The team is really, I think they've built well. I think that was the unexpected thing. I remember Jason saying, you can plan everything, but you can't plan. Like, you can't set up that they're going to win, right? He's planned everything to this point when we were talking to him. And now it's like, the players have to perform, and they have.
Yeah.
they've had their ups and downs. I know they had their first home loss
Uh,
the other night, which was
Yeah.
unfortunate. I think it'll be it's almost good sometimes though, right? Be able to learn from the failures of a loss to be able to come back and be stronger at that, which I think that they're definitely going to take that to heart.
Yeah. Well, you and I decided, generally we hang out after the games.
Yeah.
There was no way I was hanging out after a loss.
Yeah.
I don't, and the reason why is like, I wanted to step away from it and actually understand what it meant to me in the moment, right? When you're immersed in it, that's probably fine as well too. Everybody deals with things differently. There's no wrong or right way.
Yeah.
The losses are super important.
Yeah, I think they're honestly better. I feel like it's probably good they got one at home in this kind of time frame.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you go too long, especially considering the season length, you get into the second part, like there's 20 games, you get into the second part, the teens kind of games, then, and you haven't lost at home, it might actually be almost detrimental to the building of the team.
And even the psyche.
Yeah, like to get that depth kind of sorted. And I know they have
Yeah.
a few new players coming in. I wasn't sure. I don't think the one guy played yesterday or the other day. I don't know.
No, one of their new additions. Yeah.
But they got a few new players, shake it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Good learning, right? So it was cool. They handled it well. Like I think they, from what it looked like, it wasn't like it. They handled it well.
No, when I talked to a few of the players after the game as well too,
Yeah.
like just DMs on Instagram. 'Cause I'm cool like that, I talk to all the players and stuff, just direct connection. But, yeah,
They're all verified. Yeah.
yeah, they're all awesome.
Really,
They're all really sweet guys, right? But from like a human standpoint, they're very kind people and nice people, and humble. But ultimately, the answer that I got from all of them was one of like appreciation for the support, and two was it's all good. We're gonna get the next one back,
Mm-hmm.
which is on the Friday, and then there's the game on the Father's Day, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, it's interesting because I think I agree with you. I always try to draw parallels back to like sports icons that were undefeated versus the ones that were defeated. And the last episode or 2 episodes ago, I think I ended up quoting Conor McGregor, but let's look at this. Let's look at his nemesis. Let's look at Khabib Nurmagomedov. He left the UFC undefeated, right?
Yeah.
Even Israel Adesanya was undefeated until a certain point, but the way that he handled his losses were unreal.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you get to see the true character of the individual. Nobody actually knows if Khabib actually has grit. He left undefeated.
Yeah.
And as you saw him get deeper into his career, he became more and more conservative and less exciting to watch because of the fear of losing that ultimate fairy tale piece, right? Now, I was thinking about it after the Surge game, and I was like, man, dude, taking that loss at home, and key point here, taking a loss again, and only having 2 losses and against the same damn team. A very unclassy team as well too, like the way they very unclassy. For those who watch the game, like you'll understand. We don't need to get into it because we don't want to talk bad about anybody, but like Vancouver has some class. Like, come on, pull your socks up and maybe call your mothers and earn, get back in gear. But the big thing there was, is the fairy tale not the fairy tale anymore because it's not undefeated? And I thought about it, and the answer that I came to is no. This is the inaugural season. The way that the atmosphere has been, the energy at the games, like I'm leaving, like just riding this weird like high every single game, and just be like, man, that was unbelievable. Even the loss, even witnessing that was still like amazing, right? Like we brought a friend, Emma Doge, along, and he was just vibrating afterwards as well too, which is really cool to see, right? Even though it wasn't a win, but the piece that's a fairy tale part is that it's the inaugural season. If, regardless of whether we win or lose, if they make it all the way and even get into the finals, like where's that bar? Is it the finals? Do we have to win? But like, what is it? What is it that makes it actually the ending that we're looking for specifically for this season? I don't know. I mean, everybody's going to be different. For me, I want us to win, right? Mm-hmm. Jason, for sure, he wants us to win. Like he was pretty frustrated after that game. He's pacing, and Jason has that thing that he does when he's frustrated, right? So we're under pressure. But for you, what do you think, man? Like, what do you want to see? Where do you want to see this season go?
I don't think there's expectations. I think, funny enough, I think it actually goes further in the game. I think that them winning is attracting individuals to like who is this team? Who are they?
Yeah.
Which is awesome, which I think is what we need for the city, and I think is what the point was, right? That's what Jason was trying to do. Obviously, every sport you want to win, but I think if they can achieve bringing basketball to Calgary and win the championship, that's like a double header kind of thing. But is that what the goal was? Probably not in season one. I think they have a lot of things that they need to kind of work on, shift, figure out. And I think early on, again, what I mentioned before is if they would have had the fairy tale where it's like they don't lose at home, imagine now they go into, so to give a bit of context, the finals or the playoffs is like it's not always in the city where the winning team, so it's already pre-picked before. So it's in Vancouver this year, right? Yeah. So they have this fairy tale of being at home, winning, and being undefeated, and that's where they thrive. How do you think they're going to play in the finals if they make the tournament, right? It's not going to be their home court. They're going to have maybe a disadvantage almost. So I think, again, going back to losing is not a bad thing. You can relate it to everything in life. I think with business, with everything, you want to lose. Mm-hmm. And I think you don't want to lose in the sense of like, hey, we lost and now we're going to get like destroyed and all of a sudden lose every single game. But if you can learn from that, practice, we all know from watching the game what they need to practice, right? They need a bit more of the grit, just the strength within the game. They bring that next time with the skill set that they have on the team. Yeah. They're going to be like, whatever, 120% better, right? So what do I want to see out of it? I think I want to see, the championship would be sweet. That'd be unreal for the city to be able to pull that off in the first year and just kind of, that's a nice, I think Jason would hang his hat on that, but is that what we want to see? No, I think it's again, bring the city together, achieve the community aspect, which is what they've been doing. Yeah. And just, again, seeing it all come together, which is awesome. But I think they have a good chance. Don't get me wrong. They're top of the league still, right? We got some hard games coming up though, which would be interesting, which is almost when they play better, which is hilarious. Yeah. So it's funny how that works, right? Yeah.
Well, one of the things that Jason said to us is they need to be tougher, but I'm watching these guys play and they're slamming into that ground and I'm like, I just don't know how their bodies take this.
I know.
So, we're like soccer players, right?
That's the part that blew my mind.
Grass kind of hurts, and you play on a crappy field. Sometimes you get rocks.
Yeah. Or turf. Like when you get
turf burns. But this is way worse. Like you'll hear the
slamming like elbows and knees. I'm like, how did they?
Newfound respect for basketball players. How are they get the perspective that we did? They're way tougher than I thought. So it's I'm good. I'll play casually and maybe play some horse, but that's probably it.
And I'll pick up in the East Village. Other than that, no, I'm good.
Yeah, you're gonna pick up a couple other things in East Village too, right? So, no. So I think I appreciate that perspective, man. Like I think, for me, I look at it the same way, but I can't help, and you know how I am. I'm very visual as a person, right? In my mind, I picture us winning the championship, and you and I are very selective in regards to what we choose to celebrate. But imagine the party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
It would be sick.
Be hosted at Jason's house or what?
Just destroy his house.
Jason, what are you
like holding the new baby? Like, bad guys, get out of my house. I knew there was a bad side. You guys know. I'm just joking. We're pretty tame. We're pretty tame compared to how we used to be when we were younger. But at the same time, like, I'm just excited to be along this journey. I think that's what you're kind of leaning into here, right? More so is let's not focus too much on the finish line and let's just experience it along the way. And there's quite a few people that we're bringing along as guests that are, every single game's a little bit different, right? It's a little bit of a different conversation. It's really cool to be able to see that excitement in their faces as well too. When, they're seeing this go down. One of my favorite things about the game beyond just watching it is seeing our guests and people that haven't witnessed the game before just take it all in.
I think what I was saying earlier, like the realization of how wild it actually is. Like it's hard to, again, if people have watched videos, sure, it does it kind of justice, but like the energy in that building is crazy. Like it just exemplifies, again, what they've built and what has kind of come together. Yeah. And our guests are hilarious. Some of the individuals that have been with us, like, to see the excitement. And I think they're almost mind blown that this is something that's going on. And they might get a little bit excited when they actually win. So like, different sides of us that they get to see, which is nice sometimes with some of the individuals that we're with, right? So
you and I are pretty bitter. Like we didn't post afterwards either. We're just like,
what's funny? I was saying earlier to the guys, like, I actually forgot to post about the game that I was going. And then at the end, I was like, they lost. Like, I'm just going to slide that one in. I didn't go. There was no game on Wednesday, was there? I don't remember. Oh, so it kind of worked out in that way, which is bad. But
historically, I don't handle losses in any other way other than the way that I know how to handle it. And how I handle losses is by like internalizing the crap out of it and like really like letting it sink in so that I get the most value out of it, because we don't take as many losses as we used to.
Yeah.
And when the opportunity comes to be able to get that reset, it's kind of refreshing. So yeah, I sat in the rain for a while at the top of that viewpoint near my house. I like sat in the rain at the viewpoint and I just stared at the city, and I was like, I ruminated, I suppose is probably the right word, right? So yeah, it was good. There were some good takeaways. Going back to the city cleanup for a second though, we do it in every city that we have presence. So we have one coming up in Edmonton as well too. That'll be closer to the end of the year.
In the summer, right?
In the summer, but Lethbridge. Are we doing one in Lethbridge? And I don't even think we've talked about Lethbridge. Really, like on the podcast, at least we haven't really talked about it.
No, we haven't. So Lethbridge, I guess office number 3. We opened, when did we open? Start of May?
Yeah.
Yeah, start of May, mid-May. So we have a presence there now, which is awesome.
And some really cool people working there that have already been interacting with us, like some absolute beauties.
Yeah, cool team all around, which is very interesting. I think it goes back to, I don't know what podcast talk about this, but it goes back to like the individuals that we've attracted to the company.
Yeah.
It was the exact same in Lethbridge, which is super cool. But what excites you about that? I think the funny thing about this moment, just to quickly before I actually answer, sorry. We opened that office, and like when we opened the Edmonton office, it was this huge deal, and there was all these like, whatever, we dealt with 50,000 problems. And then we just opened up an office in Lethbridge, and it kind of was just like, this is what we're doing, here's the plan. Like it just flowed, which I kind of mind blowing, right? To think about that you can just open up an office and it just flows into like the operations of the company.
It's very weird.
So
it's very weird.
What's your thoughts on that?
Well, first things first, I saw one document and then that was it. I wasn't part of the conversations. I wasn't part of the planning. I saw the final document and then I was told when it started. So for me, that's really different than Edmonton. Edmonton was horrific for my personal life.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrific. Emma was born and then I didn't see her for a year, which was like, oh man, it was nasty. Like looking during the moment as we were going through it, it wasn't a big deal, but looking back at it, because I've had the boys now and spending the first year of their life with them, like just there the whole time, I realized I missed a lot. And like you're not supposed to have regrets in life, but that doesn't mean that you can't feel the pain of a moment that's passed, right? So Edmonton was an interesting one for a few different reasons. One, I grew up in Edmonton, so the city was close to my heart, and I have a fondness for that city in ways that only I can understand. I know you don't get it, but think about it this way. Every time we go back, the food is so good. Even the last time we went back, it was, oh man, Edmonton's food is unreal. And the people are fantastic as well too. But ultimately, that office was really painful for one specific perspective. You and I, it was the first time we had to split and like really focus our energy on completely different things. You took care of Calgary and procurement from a high level.
Yeah.
Actually, no, from an intimate level. You took care of procurement from an inter level. Managed all the operations and everything that was running really well here. And then I pulled on different team members, Francis as for mainly, to be able to support the Edmonton expansion. They really stepped up, right? But it was mental, right? Like I think I would go up every second week. I would drive up. I would borrow a family member's car because we just didn't have enough vehicles at that time. So I would typically borrow a car from my in-laws or my parents. I would run around the city all day long and sell. And then I would come back to Calgary for a week. And then I would go to Edmonton back the next week, and then I would install. And I would install with a contractor. And then eventually you started joining me as well too, right? And it was a nightmare because we didn't know which model worked. And that was the testing period. And nightmare, I say in a good thing, right? I think the thing about nightmares that are interesting is that eventually they end and you wake up and you're like, okay, shit, I'm alive still, right? Yeah. So the thing that was hard about Edmonton is that we had the model in Calgary where it was staff, it was turnkey all the way through. In Edmonton, we tried contracting, subcontracting, breaking out the work, doing it ourselves. Like we tried any number of models that ended up working. And for our competitors that are listening, we're not going to actually tell you what worked. Figure it out on your own. But in regards to us, we figured out the formula. And now we have the formula in Lethbridge, right? And from what you've gathered, and this is going back to your question, guys, like what am I excited about? I'm excited to see this formula actually work. It's been extremely well thought out. It's been reviewed by some of the best minds in the industry that we have access to. So to answer your question, that's what I'm excited about. Is the formula going to work? If the formula works, we are going to be the biggest solar brand in Canada. There's nothing that's going to stop us.
Yeah, I think it was, it's funny you say that about Edmonton, because I think we tried, like, there's nothing that we didn't try. We tried running offices out of the back of vans, like, it was wild. So we didn't actually get our first office officially there till 2019, right?
And now we're in our second office. And then the second office is going to be unreal. It's bigger than the Calgary office.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
No, not anymore.
Oh, we got adjusted?
Well, because we have offices. It's bigger here now.
Okay.
But yeah, like it's a big office space with a warehouse, and I think we've been able to kind of solidify our place there, which is nice. But yeah, the Lethbridge side of things, I think where it's really cool is being able to now really, really test a refined model, I think is what I would say, and just be able to kind of grow that.
What does Ian say?
What's Ian saying about
the term he uses, like one best way.
Yeah. One best way.
One best way, yeah.
Yeah. But no, so it's exciting. And I think the other exciting thing about Lethbridge is it is a cool city. Like, it's as much as it's what's the population? Like a couple 100,000. It's not as big, obviously.
It's still pretty decent size.
Pretty decent size, obviously, for Alberta. One of the bigger kind of sub-cities here in Alberta. And there's a lot of roots, I think, that tie back to us as well when it's like what we're trying to do, right? Like, there's a lot of farm presence there. There's a lot of community aspect in Lethbridge as well.
Yeah.
They're doing a lot of different things for that, which is going to be really awesome for us to kind of get involved in that. And obviously the city cleanup down there, tie that all in. And I think that'll make Lethbridge just like that nice third hub, which is sweet. We kind of wanted it. And then now it just happened, which is, like you said, it was cool. Even the aspects of like my involvement with it, it was very driven by a few key individuals within the team that brought the plan together and just kind of gave some like tips and tricks of things that we.
A lot of it was as for Royce, I believe, right?
It was as for Royce, Bryce. Actually put in a lot of work into it as well.
Right,
Corey, a couple people on their team.
Corey's from Lethbridge as well.
Yeah. So they had some like local presence that they were kind of include, which is nice. Made it a little bit easier, but yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see where it goes. Yeah. And then what we're able to do with it as we grow and expand. Yeah.
No, it's definitely exciting from that perspective as well too. For me, and I think this is just the position. I've been in the company for a while. It's always healthy for me to stay back and stay away from it as much as possible, because then it's easier to put the bigger pieces in play. Do you feel like you're getting to that point now too?
Like, to give, I guess, a bit of context to individuals listening, what you're saying is, I guess, Ian, right? So Ian, our COO, is kind of the position I was playing before. So it's been a bit of a interesting transition. I think we talked about this on the first podcast, actually, right? We've kind of got into it, but
yeah.
Where am I now? I think I agree. I feel like I can do more with less, which is very interesting because that used to not be the case before. He was very involved. I was having hands-on conversations with the managers all the time. And now I actually prefer to know less, and not in a sense of not being involved, but like to know less on, because you can actually make better decisions. Because if you know too much, sometimes you get like caught up in the stuff that other people should be making those decisions already.
Yeah.
So a lot of times that's been a big thing, especially in the last like month or two, is just transitioning into that and figuring that all out.
Yeah.
I think I'm finally starting to get to that. Again, going back to me going to Europe, I think that's going to be that real reset where I'm just going to let my mind like fully turn off, figure that all out, and then I can come back and we can focus on obviously the further expansion, which won't get into too much detail, but that'll be.
I'm itching.
I think I'm ready. I'm excited. I think
I'm going to take time off because I'm itching for that pretty tightly right now. So
yeah, that expansion, like the full expansion, will be awesome. And I think it'll be like, the mind's there. The mindset's like I'm ready. Like, I think we're ready to kind of do that. So yeah. Hard to say. No, I'm definitely not where you are yet with the aspect of like what the day-to-day looks like, or like what I was used to.
Yeah.
It's been good. It's nice.
No, even myself, man, just to be fair with you as well too, like there's a formula there, and I think I'm close to figuring out what it is. But as soon as you figure out the formula, that means that it's time for you to grow again. So you have to consistently break yourself or for lack of better words, kill the old version of yourself so the new version can flourish, right?
Yeah.
And anytime as an individual hits a peak in their life, that's typically when it's time to change. Otherwise, you flatline. And then you end up just wasting your life on a couch, just watching TV at the end of every night, just wishing that you had done something better, and then you're dead, right? So, and we're not like that. We're naturally not set that way. So we'll always end up having that desire to constantly, I guess, reinvent ourselves, for lack of better words. So no, okay, I'm excited to hear that you're actually transitioning into that. The way that I liken it as well too, even with the way Ian comes into play. Have you ever made pasta by hand, like with a
Long time ago.
yeah, it tastes delicious, and you know there's so much love put into it, but it's inconsistent. Not all the noodles are the same, right? Our goal is to ultimately get that same taste and quality, but you pick it off the shelf in the grocery store. I don't think we're there yet with Ian, because him being here newer. I think now what the difference is that he's a trained Italian chef and he's making it, so we don't have to, right? And we're getting served the dish instead of us having to be there turning the wheel ourselves. And then from there, we're able to say, actually, you know what? We're missing this. Something here needs to be added. And then the dish is being amplified even further, right? So it's a really cool position to be in. And plus, I love eating pasta, so I'm not mad.
Should we change Ian's last name to like Frithioni or something?
Ian Frithioni. Is this the time where you let the cat out of the bag that you're not Swiss German, that you're actually French Italian, and your real name is Kaiser Ferrioni?
Yeah.
Kaiser Ferrioni. There we go. The truth is out now, man.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I think that is the cool part to see. And I think even going back to with the reinventing ourselves, what I've kind of realized is that this next portion is heavily going to come down to like pulling all of the things out of our tool bag that we've kind of learned, put aside, figured out over the last it's 8 years, more than a couple, but last 8 years of the business, and like which pieces actually worked. Because one of the things that with this expansion that I've kind of realized is, excuse me, every time we've done these type of things, we were just kind of guessing, if we're being honest, right? We're like, sure,
It wasn't
educating guesses,
it was,
but like,
it was gut based.
yeah, like it was very, hey, we haven't done this, let's do it here. Probably 98% of what we're about to do, we've done to some extent. So we can take the tools and be like, hey, this is where we click all these things in, and this is how we're going to do this in a manner where we don't have to go through 10 roadblocks and all these different things. I think we have a lot of people on our side as well when it comes to industry, company, whatever it is. So that's why this is an exciting expansion. I think, we'll reinvent ourselves, but it's also about refining, right? Refining little pieces that gets us to that next level, which would be
and I'm curious, I want to jump into that for a second. So the refinement piece.
Yeah.
Do you know what you're naturally good at now? Like, are you there? Like, you're 100% certain exactly what you're good at?
Other than making pasta? I'm just kidding. 100%. Yeah, that's a hard question. I would say no. No, still not like 100%. I think I know what comes naturally, and I know what's going to play into the expansion that I'm naturally good at. I was having a conversation with this about the other day, but I like to see a puzzle completed and then figure out like which pieces kind of like go into place to build that puzzle, if that makes sense. That might kind of be oversimplifying it, but I can see, like even right now, I can see wherever we are fully completed with the plan that we've talked about with Ian and what it's going to look like. But the exciting part right now, and I think where my skill set comes in, is that I can see the different puzzle pieces and be able to help guide where they go instead of other people having to look at like 100 puzzle pieces that are all over the place. It's like, here's what the picture looks like, and we can kind of start creating that, which is, again, I don't know what that ties back to like the skill set, but that's what I've learned, especially in this transition, that the doing side of things, I'm honestly just good at it because I just won't stop until I do it, right? So, which is whatever. That's just more of like, I don't know, that might just be stupidity, right? To not be able to stop on that. But now it's like, how do you go past that you don't work 80 hours a week, right? Like we used to. You don't do these things. It's how do we actually, again, going back to the refinement side of things, how do we do a refined approach and actually take the things that we've learned into account for the expansion so that we can do it working 40 hours a week. If we can expand on this, again, where we want to go here and not have to work 80 hours a week, then we've used the tools that we learned over the last 8 years to be able to get here.
Well, no, we should, like, that's such an interesting point that you make. I'll be frank with you, and I'm happy to say this publicly. I'm not going to do it if it's going to be 80 hours a week. And I'll tell you for one reason and one reason only, is that if we have to do it and it takes 80 hours a week to do, it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
First and foremost.
I agree.
The second thing is, are you planning on dying one day?
Well, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff, inventions nowadays, but like, maybe not, but no, 88,
88, mine's 100 is the goal. Get there. Apparently it's all about VO2 max and zone 2 training, apparently, like a triangle is what I've been told. I'll explain that on a separate episode. But for the second piece is this. The first piece is that, right? Is that it's not sustainable. The second piece is, because we're all going to die one day, it's inevitable and it's a beautiful thing in itself. What is it that you value the most? Right now, I have young children that need me. And not from any other reason other than I know what their potential is. I know where my parents did an excellent job. I also know where my parents could have done things differently, but did not have the capability to do it based on life circumstances. So I've accepted everything on that side of things, and I'm extremely grateful to the parents that I have and love them unconditionally and all the way through. Knowing that if we do the 80 hours, they will suffer. And the whole reason we're doing Zeno is to preserve the planet for future generations. So it would be contradictory for me to sacrifice my own children in the process. Mm-hmm. Though in that movie, in Interstellar, that's exactly what he ended up having to do. So there is a reality that, hey, maybe this is it. Is our mission big enough that I have to sacrifice my family in the process? Maybe. Is it something that I prefer? Probably not. So there's going to be that balance, and you're going to see me push a lot during this phase of our growth for me to be able to say, hey, man, this is necessary, or this is too much, or this is unnecessary. Maybe this is necessary or unnecessary. So it'll be interesting to see us go through that process. But for you, you're freewheeling, right? Like, you're single, no dog. Mm-hmm. Well, dog, but he's living a beautiful life with Waldo in the mountains with your parents. Anything really holding you down for like pouring your entire soul into this right now?
Yeah, I think it's time. I think I'm now in my 30s. That also happened.
You're on the
I'm on the first floor. First floor of the 30s. Yeah. So that's a nice shift. I think I've realized a lot of things about what time means. And I think funny enough, it actually goes back to a lot of aspects of family. So like even being a bigger portion of my nieces, right? One of my nieces is 7 months, my other one's almost 3 years old. That's a big thing for me. I think the travel side of things is amazing, but funny enough, it's not that I don't want to do it. It's that if we have to do it in a manner where we kill ourselves and like it just becomes our full life again, I think we failed. And I mean that in like a very blunt way of, if we have to go through this expansion the exact same way we went through Edmonton, let's just take Edmonton for example, that's obviously a different story because it's early on, then I don't think we're successful in the expansion. And then I think we haven't taken, again, what we've learned over the last 8 years and actually refined it. Yeah. And then I would look at that as a failure to be able to do that expansion. And I just don't see it because two things. We have a pretty crazy talented team behind us.
Unreal.
This time.
Yeah.
Unreal. Very good leaders, individuals that understand this stuff more than us. Like a lot of them actually understand this more than us when it comes to like the finer details, which is amazing. Which wasn't the case before, right? It was us trying to figure out every single detail of that location.
Yeah.
And then the 40 hours, it's almost a challenge, right? So like I love challenges, and like if someone else is like, that can't be done, you can't expand to another whatever province, city, country. Well, yeah, we definitely can, and we'll be able to do it and show that we can do it with 40 hours a week, right?
Yeah.
And the things you can do in 40 hours a week if you actually plan it properly, and with the time that kind of has now been allocated to us to be able to work on that. That's my thing. What do I want out of it? Again, like time. Time is the hardest thing to get back, and what you realize at this old age now that
you keep going. You realize as soon as you call yourself old,
Well, you're ancient then, I guess.
Yeah. In my mind, I feel like I'm aging better than you, but I feel like that's just my own perception. So I'm just going to keep telling myself that I'm young.
It's all good. But
Yeah.
no, so I realized that, again, time is just such a precious thing, and there's only 24 hours in a day, and we're already in the middle of the year, right? We talked about it earlier. Where's the year gone, right? So then we're going to say that at the end of 2023, where's the whole year gone?
Yeah.
And I want to be able to look back and say, like, these are the things that I wanted to do, and these are the things I spent my time on.
Well, yeah, my dad gave me some really interesting wisdom about this, right? Because things are moving fast, and every time I think that I'm like, crap, time is escaping me, I think of this.
Cool.
Do you remember we used to talk about time represented in a linear line over a period, right? And what I mean by that is when you're 1 year old, 1 year is 100% of your time.
Yeah.
When you're 10 years old, 1 year is 10% of your time.
Yep.
When you're 100 years old, 1 year is 1% of your time. So if you look at it from a linear perspective, ultimately, every single year that passes in relation to the older that you get is a smaller percentage over time.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, a year feels shorter.
Yep.
So I brought this up to my dad, and my dad's like a math genius. Like, this guy does long division in his head. And I think it's because he got beat with rulers as a kid. So he's just like the old way in India, right? Just crack on the hand. Like, they were like different worlds.
Yeah.
It would have probably been an interesting experience. But the perspective that he gave me was this. He said that humans don't perceive time in years. We perceive time in moments.
Yeah.
When you're going through a day when you're 20, it's full of emotions, it's full of hormones, it's full of chaos. It goes by like this. When you're a kid, everything is beautiful. Every leaf is green. Every blade of grass calls your name. And time moves slowly because you notice every single detail. When you're at the stage that we're at, it's even faster, right? Because we have personal responsibilities, professional responsibilities, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But this is the part that he said was beautiful. He's like, once all of that is done with and your career is settled, time slows back down again. Because once again, humans don't perceive time in years. We perceive time in days, in hours, in moments. And he said the frequency of things happening in a single moment or a single day is significantly less after you get into your 50s than it is when you're in your 20s and your 30s, and time slows back down again. And I was like, okay, good. That brings me peace. And from a logical standpoint, it actually makes a lot of sense. So when he dropped that wisdom, and you know how my dad is, man, it's all these crazy, both our parents, like just mad wisdom bombs. I was like, okay, put my mind at peace. So what he said at the end of that was really interesting as well. So he told me to move faster. I was like, okay. He's like, go faster and get there sooner. He's like, I agree with you. Right? So he's like, he didn't get to that point until he was almost 60.
Yeah.
He's like, you're a different generation. Your entire generation, you could do this by the time you're 45 and set up a mechanism in which you're constantly providing value to society, but you could do it at a younger age. So, and then he did his classic thing where he made a couple jokes and then we jumped off the call. So yeah, it was interesting.
I do agree though, the time side of things. Like I think, and it's funny actually on that point is there's going to be moments within the company expansion, which is like, it's such a big part of our life, right? You spend more time at work and in your career than you do in your personal life usually, right? So if you can tie that in, that those moments, again, you're measuring in moments, there's going to be a lot of them that are company things.
Yeah.
I don't take that as a bad thing. I take that as like, those are amazing moments within the timeline of whatever, 0 to 88. And that is part of the journey, part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to enjoy that as well. And I think that's one thing that lately has been a little bit easier too, is like enjoying some of the bigger moments a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that'll be a big part of this expansion, is like, how do we actually enjoy the moment of expansion and actually not living in chaos to do it?
Yeah.
Because that was one problem before, is that when you're doing it, you don't actually enjoy that. And then even when things click in, you're like, we just went through pure whatever, chaos, whatever word you want to use to get here. It's actually not as enjoyable, where if you can see and orchestrate it, that you can actually enjoy it more, is what I think. And that's what I'm looking forward to. So I don't know. Again, time is such a crazy thing.
Yeah, and what you just said inspired an idea in my mind. Typically, looking from the outside in, people would think we're workaholics, right? But
they could.
Do you perceive what we're doing as work?
Oh, like, I don't know, like 25% of it.
Yeah, right. So we're kind of just living, right? So we should try to coin the term.
Hey,
Yeah. Like, we should actually try to actually push the movement of becoming lifeaholics.
I don't know.
Yeah. Let's get behind that. Let's get behind
Let's
that.
not.
Yeah, let's do it. I
Holy-
love cheesy terms because it's way easier to be able to quantify an idea behind it. And I think, let me stretch my legs on this one. What I mean when I say a lifeaholic is building things in a way that's conducive to who you are as a person. And this goes back to stoicism, right? I asked you today earlier on, is like, do you really know like who you are? I think you know this. I know exactly who I am. Right now, in this moment, I do. That's going to probably change in a month. It could change in a week. Who knows? Life always throws you curveballs. But for a pretty good amount of time, like this year, pretty much, I've been very confident on my position and my skill sets and what I bring from a value standpoint. And it's really nice to be able to experience that. And that summarizes into, or I guess it can be turned into that one term of a lifeaholic, is that I'm finding that balance of what that looks like and moving the pieces in my life to be able to allow who I am as an individual to flourish as much as possible, knowing that the value that I bring to those around me and society as a whole has been verified. And by verified, it means that I have been fortunate enough to be in a position where I know that my energy is multiplied X-fold in relation to how I show up and how I perform.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I mean, this whole next phase is going to be pretty sweet. And there is so much going on, but this has definitely been an interesting episode from an update standpoint. And yeah, I think in the short term, because the whole last piece here has been so long term, talking about expansion and things like that. And there's a lot of exciting moving pieces. The city cleanup is right around the corner.
Yep.
Like, we're only a few days out now. July 8th is going to be a pretty awesome day. Hopefully the weather holds. It'll be a good time for people to come out and meet us. Well, not you, maybe a picture of you.
FaceTime.
Meet some of the team members. Even individuals that are watching this or interested in working at Zeno, I would recommend this is probably a good time to come out. Come meet the team, throw in a resume. We want good people, and this is a good place for you to be able to meet us kind of in a neutral ground. And then also meet some of the amazing Surge players and see some cool EVs. I know I'll bring my Ford Lightning. Hopefully Porsche will bring a Taycan. I don't know if somebody's going to be driving yours. Probably not, though. But I think the city cleanup's going to be good. It'll be good to make that impact and see how much we collect. And some of the giveaways and stuff like that will be pretty fun as well, too.
Yeah, I think ideally everyone keep eyes on our social, obviously, for all the details. And yeah, I think it'll be cool because it's going to be bigger, badder than any of the other ones, which I think we do every single time.
Yeah.
I think we've leveled it up every single time by people, sponsors, whatever it kind of brings together. And I think the Surge is going to be icing on the cake for that.
Yeah.
At one point, it'll be hard to just keep topping these things, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyone that wants to come out to that, it'd be amazing to have you out. I'll be there in spirit. And yeah, that's pretty much, I think that was a really good update on what's going on over the last month and a half. I think we leave it at that.
Yeah, I agree. So that's episode 4 episode 5.
Episode 5.
In the bag. Well, see, this is, one thing I know I'm confident I'm not good at is remembering numbers.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
Good thing that's not my forte. Otherwise, on paper, I would just say we're billionaires. Just make some numbers up. But definitely a good episode, and I always appreciate these ones because it's a good way for you and I to catch up outside of the norm as well, too.
Yep, sweet.
Lead the charge?
Lead the charge, bro.
Yeah.
All right.